Hello, Terry. This is Matt, and I would like to give you my narrative for the final project. And in advance, I want to say thank you for everything you've done for me. So let's get started. So the reason I included the things I did in my LMS was because uh, I believe I'm attempting to meet the needs of all learners. I know that that's a pretty uh, intense goal, but I have to believe that I'm making that attempt to meet the needs of all learners, knowing that some might not catch on. I'm attempting to do that because I've included texts, visuals, audio with my voice, video from YouTube, Web 2.0 software, and game software from the internet. I believe with all these different types of learners, I hope to gain their interest through one of these ways, these various ways of instruction. My educational objective, when I think about my educational objective for this class, I want all students to be able to use geography to interpret the past, understand the present, and plan for the future. I want them to be able to describe the physical and human characteristics of places. I want them to be able to explain how human actions affect the natural world. And finally, they'll be able to use a variety of maps to interpret and represent the world. Ensuring more achievement. How will my LMS do that? Well, I believe my plan will ensure more achievement than any other plan because of the nature of the content, world geography, and the structure I use to present the information. I feel I used a very systematic way for the students to understand things. My audience is sixth graders, 11 and 12-year-olds. I believe I'm going to be able to tap into their interest levels with the types of media that I chose to make a point for and teach a lesson. So, with engagement and collaboration, improving engagement and improving collaboration, I believe that through the use of the discussion board, responding to their to peers, and the maturity of the students, I feel that I'm gradually going to be able to introduce them to the concept of collaboration online. Obviously, as the year progresses, I would certainly add more opportunities for them to collaborate, maybe using blogs, wikis, journals, discussion board. So, thinking about my teacher personality, I believe my teacher personality will be quite evident through the multiple ways I presented information to the students. I am confident that they will pick up on my excitement for learning and for having the opportunity to be their instructor. Ways that I would offer feedback. I would set a time each week for reading and responding to discussion posts the same way you did, Terry. I felt that that was a very professional way of you handling us, but also spot checking whether or not we were using the discussion board. I know that I wouldn't have to respond to all postings, but making a few comments throughout the week lets students know that I'm interested in the progress of their learning. A few postings 2 or 3 times a week is usually going to be adequate, so that's where I'm going to try to stick. So I would also acknowledge good threads in the online discussion, just as you have. I would also acknowledge individuals the way you have with particularly good postings. I would give positive public acknowledgement because it would make the students feel good about participating in the course. Finally, if the discussions are not quite on the right track, this is where you showed your true giftedness, Terry, with the discussion board. You would be able to provide feedback, and I want to model that as well, to the class by steering the discussion in a different direction. Uh, you also were good at suggesting alternative ways of looking at the topic or asking follow up questions. For higher order thinking, I would do the same thing to spawn thinking in a new direction. So, when you think about utilizing the assessments, this was probably the hardest part of the LMS for me. I struggled with the assessments, but I didn't think it was a weakness for the program. Once I figured it out, I really appreciated how you set it up. So, given that I'm instructing sixth graders, I am pleased with the assessment I created for them. I tried to use multiple ways of assessing their understanding. I included things such as short answers, hotspots, essays, multiple choice, and true and false. So, thinking about software monitoring, I understand there are ways to monitor student progress with discussion board. However, for these 2 units, I'll be monitoring specifically the discussion board, assignments, and collaboration. I think I also will use the journal. So, delivering accommodations and differentiation. When I think of those two things, uh, it is possible to do this within the Blackboard. And if I had students who needed these accommodations, I am aware that I am capable of making accommodations, such as if I was going to use images in our content, I would be able to add text for them. I would do alternate text where it would be very simple and it would be very clear of what the image is about. If I'm adding video, I could put subtitles. I could also use closed caption. Another thing would be for the visually impaired, I could enlarge images as well as text. And then finally, when I think of being able to provide students with clear expectations, instructions, and directions for all assignments and tests, students will be more supported and they will get what they need. So when I think of critiquing the learning management software, Terry, I have to say honestly that I really didn't see any weaknesses within the Blackboard. I found that the LMS worked really well for me. Was time consuming because it was brand new to me. The testing format was probably the most challenging piece for me to understand. But once I figured that out, I was able to play with it and delete questions and add questions and see how it works. So I was really appreciative of using Blackboard, and I was glad that you gave me that recommendation. So I'm sorry, but I really don't have any weaknesses for the part of Blackboard that I used. And finally, Terry, from my heart, I want to say thank you, and thank you again for everything you've done. I do understand that you were obligated to teach as our instructor, but I find you to be a master teacher in so many ways, really pushing your students. You've shown me a lot of great things. You've taught me a lot of things, and I have a really nice feel for technology and online learning. So, Terry, I'm going to take what you've given me, and I appreciate everything that you've given me, and that'll be part of my legacy as I move forward as an instructor and teacher. I also lastly wanted to say that I also used, with permission, some things from Education 509 as well as Education 518, this class. I used some of the materials from the Blackboard in those classes to implement into my LMS. So thank you for that. So again, Terry, thank you for everything. I appreciate your professionalism and your knowledge. Take care.